I thought I'd put the Marconi to 2305 into some use this afternoon or this morning. Just going to check the AM alignment of the, or AM modulation of the Rohde Schwarz, because I've never checked it before. I'm suspicious that it was slightly low, because I did have an AM modulation meter on it a couple of years ago and it read low. I wasn't confident of the meter I was testing it with, but I'm pretty confident the Marconi is right. So I want to check a couple of things, make sure the FM deviation is correct, and just check the AM deviations, reasonable. So I think we'll start with the AM, because it's run it to 50% modulation. This is the modulation meter here, 100% scale here. So it should be 50% deviation, and the unit's producing a 10.9 megahertz signal. Let's plug it in. You can see the Marconi showing that, and then we need to select AM modulation. Just wait for it to settle. And it says 47%, and it's showing 50. So it's not excuse me, it's not too bad. It seems to read actually slightly lower than that, I think, when it's got the case on. So I'm going to bring that up slightly, and that's done with adjustment on the motherboard. This is the Rohde Schwarz manual here, and it's where are we? Amplitude modulation. Check the indication of the modulation depth, and it says, okay, it says set the SMLH, which is the Rohde Schwarz, to the frequency at which the indication of the modulation depth is to be checked, and amplitude modulation carrier signal 80% at 1 kHz by pressing push button AM internal at 1 kHz, which is what we've just done. Let's set the modulation meter to compare the indication of the modulation meter with that on the SMLH. Permissible deviation is 5%. Well, it's probably not far off that, but I'd like to bring it up slightly. And the adjustment is done by R35 on the motherboard. So it's, I think that's one of the. Here it is. This is R35 down here, so that's easy enough to get to. He says you can't get to it. Let's find it's a tool. Perfect. So let's get into R35. So all this will do is adjust the meter, and it won't actually adjust the modulation depth, it will adjust the meter. So what we'll do is we'll set the modulation on the Marconi to indicate 50%. Turn the right adjustment, so it increases in the AM modulation. Okay, and I'm going to adjust this pot here, and hopefully this will bring the meter back. There we go, brought it back to, it's a bit dirty, 50%. So let's try it further around the scale. So let's try it 100%. 98.99. I mean, that's pretty good. Pretty close to 99%. Let's try it lower down. 30%. 30%. Excellent. Now, what also you can do is with the Marconis, it will show you the modulation frequency, and it says that you can adjust it with a trimming capacitor on the board. It says 2 trimming capacitors. I think one's a fixed capacitor, but the other trimming capacitor is this one here, I think. Now, I'm not too worried about if I adjust it and it's wrong, because I have actually marked all these trimming capacitors down here. Now you can see that down there, that trimming capacitor. So let's put my trimming tool in there, if it will grip it. Okay, we're in there. So what we want is 1 kHz on this modulation frequency. Let's see if it does anything. Not a lot. Not doing anything at all, so maybe that is the wrong adjustment. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I can't think there are any more adjustments on here, unless it's on one of the back of the boards. I'll have to check that again, but I'm pretty sure it said on the motherboard. Let's do FM modulation. So we go FM, and I'm going to set that at 75 kHz, which is standard deviation for the UK, and I think most FM transmissions. Select FM here, and as you see, that's pretty good. Just check the other ranges. That's excellent. Let's go to 100 kilohertz modulation, deviation. It's lagging behind slightly there, isn't it? 93, 94. And that's all it will give. That's the maximum amount of. Wind it back a bit, so it can't quite do 100 kilohertz deviation. Of course, we're assuming this is accurate, 30%, so that's okay. So it's clearly working okay, the 2305, and it's confirmed that the level was slightly low on the the Rohde Schwarz. So yeah. It's nice. It's all working properly. I didn't manage to get the second one going. I'm still struggling with that. It looks like the mixer board has possibly got a problem with it, and it's so complicated. It's asking me to set a minus 10 volt signal on the VCO, but unfortunately, if you do that, the whole thing, well, it just doesn't work. You can't actually get minus 10 volts out of it. It's all positive. So there's something wrong with the AB4 board. I'm going to try and get another board, but it's got a lot of logic chips on it as well, and it's not that clear from the fault finding charts what's wrong. Anyway, thanks for watching. More to come.